Somehow it's just like a microcosm of like the worst parts of humanity. I wouldn't call it a hack, I would call it desperation. We laugh so we don't cry, right? Hello YouTube, happy spring. I am dressed for the occasion. The Cobra chickens, aka Canada geese, have returned to the Great White North and I'm doing my best to avoid them. But to honor the occasion, I'm wearing my Beware the Cobra Chicken t-shirt. On Twitter the other day, I tweeted about how getting a job that pays well doesn't fix everything. Like, poverty takes a while to dig yourself out from underneath. And that's what's happening to me right now. I make $70,000 a year, and I thought that that would change my life substantially. Instead, a lot of it is going to debt and savings and trying to dig myself out from the hole that I was in. Sometimes at the end of the month, I am still left scrambling to try and make my bill payments. And with over a decade of experience in trying to get back in the black at the end of the month, I have some suggestions on places that I go when I am in desperate need of some money just to make it through for the next week or so. So if you are in need of some quick cash, here's some ideas. Some of them are side hustle ideas that you can do to get quick cash, but not all of them are. I know that side hustles aren't always viable for everyone. So the first is to take in your recycling. If you haven't thought about taking in those bottles that are accumulating in your garage, or in my case, on my balcony in the winter, now is the time to take them in. An extra $10 or $20 can go a long way when you don't have a lot of money, and you'll get the added benefit of clearing out some space in your place. I feel like every person that has struggled financially is aware of this hack, but I just wanted to, I wouldn't call it a hack, I would call it desperation. We laugh so we don't cry, right? I need to mention it because it is a good way to get some cash. And that's to look at the things around your place and see if you have anything of value that you are willing to get rid of or that you don't need anymore. Don't get rid of things that you'll just buy back or need to buy back, because that defeats the purpose. But if you have old electronics that you aren't using, those tend to go for $40-50 sometimes, or sometimes you can sell a TV for a few $100s if you don't need a bedroom TV and you've got a TV in your living room. I have sold clothes on Facebook Marketplace. Some clothes sell better than others. Earlier this summer, when I was really, really poor and I wasn't able to make rent, I was selling pieces for $5. It is a pain, Facebook Marketplace. Somehow it's just a microcosm of the worst parts of humanity. Trying to get people to be fair and buy things and communicate and show up on time is a hassle. It's not like you're going out and going to the movies. So instead, just take that time and sell some stuff on Facebook Marketplace and get yourself some cash. Another thing you can do is sell gift cards. So I've done this in a pinch. Sometimes people give me gift cards and they mean well, because they're like, oh, I want you to use this for this specific thing. In my case, for example, I got a gift card to a furniture store. I don't buy new furniture. I buy all of my furniture used because it's all I can afford. The gift card doesn't cover the cost of a new couch or something. So I sold it to a website and got some money back. You usually lose $20 off of the cost of the gift card if it's $100, for example. It can be a way to get money. That being said, it does take a couple weeks to send it to you in the mail. So it's not a way to get fast money, but it is a way to get some money. Another thing I've done is, if I know someone that goes to the place, I'll offer them $5 or $10 off the gift card and just be like, hey, do you want to buy this from me? If I have a friend that I know that goes to the movies all the time, then I'll just be like, hey, I'm in a tight spot. Do you want to buy this $30 movie gift card for $20? Converting points to cash. So I am currently in year 4 out of 4. I'm almost done. My debt consolidation program. That means that I don't get credit cards. But with my bank, I do get points. The SEAM points. I'm with Scotiabank here in Canada, and so they just changed the SEAM points to this new program called SEAM Plus. The amount of points you need to get cash is pretty ridiculous. I needed 5,000 points to get $20 cash, which took me months and months to build up.
2,000 years later.
But at the same time, $20 is $20, and it did help me out at the end of the month when I knew I had a bill coming out and I needed to have that money in my bank account. If you're with Scotiabank, don't just use a normal debit card. Use a Scene debit card. They have that debit card with rewards for a reason. So even if you don't have a credit card with rewards, you can still get rewards on your debit card. I also save up my PC Optimum points. So I shop pretty exclusively at Superstore because I have like this whole like gift card AMA thing that I do. It's like really complicated. I'll go into it on Instagram. But basically, like if you want to know about it, ask me. I buy grocery gift cards at the beginning of the month to Superstore. And Superstore also has their PC Optimum points program. When I can get a credit card again and I have to start rebuilding my credit, I'm going to put my monthly groceries on my credit card and just pay it off right away, but I am going to get the PC Optimum points credit card because I find like it's a pretty good points program. I usually get like about $10 in Optimum points a month. And I know some of my friends, like, you know, when they're spending a lot around Christmas, they'll just like save up all of their Optimum points. And then at the end of the year, they have a free grocery trip at a month when they really need the money. That's an option, but I always just save it for the end of the month when I know that money is going to be a little tight, and it is nice to have that $10 off of my grocery bill. So I didn't know that this was an option, and it does involve being a little bit vulnerable with your employer. So depending on the relationship you have with your employer, you may or may not be able to do this, but you can always request a cash advance. So I get paid once a month, but my employer does offer the option of getting a cash advance in the middle of the month. And so that's what I do because I find, like, especially while I'm still paycheck to paycheck, pulling myself out of poverty and recovering from the poverty that I was in for like a decade, I find that having that paycheck in the middle of the month really helps, especially like if an emergency came up and like, you know, a lot of employers, if you go to them and you're like, I had this vet bill that I wasn't expecting, or my car needed some emergency maintenance, could I get a cash advance just to cover some stuff for just this month? A lot of employers are open to that and they'll do that. So that's something to consider. You do kind of have to rob Peter to pay Paul in that you will get less money at the end of the month. But if you need the money now and then you can scrimp later in the month, then that's an option for you. So selling electronics, I know it sounds like I've already talked about this because you're like, you just told me to sell them on Facebook Marketplace. That's not what I'm talking about. You can sell like old car batteries and old cell phones and things like that for money. So it's not a lot of money, but a lot of places will buy them because they have like rare metals in them and things like that that they can use or be recycled. So if you have an old cell phone sitting around, it might be worth Googling like cell phone recycling in your area, and you can get like some quick cash that way. I know for my car battery, when I replaced it, I was able to recycle it and I got like $18 back or something. Focus groups at universities, they do take time. It is a good way to earn some cash, and it's usually like a one-off. Sometimes, like when I was really poor, what I do is I would just go to the local university's websites and like Google focus groups and just find if there was any focus groups that were paying participants for their time and sign up for those if I qualified. The thing is, you have to qualify, which sometimes you don't. A one-time kind of opportunity to earn money. You can sell your used books. You probably won't make a whole lot off of them, but if you have some popular titles that they're having trouble keeping on the shelves at a used bookstore, you can make like 15, 20 bucks. So that's always an option too. They're going to give you like pennies for the book, and it does sting sometimes knowing how much you paid for that book. If you really need the cash and you aren't going to want to buy that book again, then that's an option, and you're decluttering at the same time. Another kind of one-time thing that you can do, and it just has to be timely, but what I've done in the past is take a day off of work and take a vacation day and work the election. So there's municipal, federal, provincial elections here in Canada, and they always need workers to work on the day. You get paid for the training that you do usually, which is like 4 hours depending on like at the low end if you're working like a pretty easy job, or like it can be really intense if you're working a more intense job, paid more according to which job you work. If you take a vacation day and you end up making like 200, 300 bucks, then that's a good way to make some money. If you know that there's a local election coming up, look at if they're looking for workers and then book that day off work. Okay, now I have 7 side hustles that I have done to get cash in a pinch. These are just some ideas. I have a bunch of other ideas. If you're interested in me doing a video on a bunch of different side hustle ideas, I definitely can. But these ones I picked specifically because They're usually in high demand, and I can usually find someone to pay me to do them in a pinch. So the first is detailing a car. So my friend came up with this idea. I've done like house cleaning for friends in the past. You're gonna wanna look up like what the professional house cleaners charge, and you obviously shouldn't charge that to your friends because you're not a professional house cleaner, but you can charge like 20 bucks an hour to clean someone's house if you're willing to put in the elbow grease. I have done that for a car. So my friend would have paid like $100 to detail her car. I detailed it for her for a couple hours in her driveway. She said that I did the best job she's ever had for car detailing. So you can always put it out there on social media if anyone needs their car detailed, that you're open to doing that, and you can charge them like 80 bucks or 60 bucks or however much you want to charge for detailing the car, depending on how much work it's going to be. And people are usually willing to pay someone they know to do that if they're someone that regularly pays for car detailing. I have never been able to afford car detailing, so I detail my own car, which means that it usually isn't very detailed. There's also some great tips on YouTube about like little like kind of hacks and things like that to clean the nooks and crannies in cars. So I would recommend watching a few YouTube videos on car detailing before you do it. The next is Rover. Here in Canada, in like a mid-sized city like Edmonton, there's not a huge demand for Rover. That being said, I have gotten like repeat clients on Rover and made a few $100s when I've needed it, especially if you don't have anything to do on the holidays. People are always looking for someone to drop in on their pets during the holidays, and you can set holiday rates. And the time I set a holiday rate, and then they also had a sick cat on top of that, and they had an additional cat. So I was like making like 60, 70 bucks to go check on this person's cat for like half an hour for a few days. Like, it's ridiculous the kind of money you can make on Rover. Some people do get clients on Rover and then move off Rover and just do it through e-transfer. I like Rover because they do have like an emergency line you can call if you need help, and they are covered through pet insurance, and it's a good way to find new clients. I did find that like with the amount that I charge on Rover and with Rover taking a cut, in order for it to be like worth my time to like go to someone's house and then spend half an hour and then leave, I need to keep the location radius for my Rover area very small. It does sometimes take a while for me to find clients, but if you keep updating your calendar, people will find you. I just found like the sweetest woman. She has like this 16-year-old cat, super easy to take care of. It's a 10-minute walk from my house, and I'm making like $12 a day to go check in on this cat, and she's going to be going away on all kinds of trips. So that's definitely worth it for me. Like, if I can go for a walk and get some exercise and then also get paid while I'm doing it, that's like the ideal situation. The way that I started out was getting some friends with pets who I've looked after their pets before to give me some reviews. If you're a good writer, you can get into freelance writing. There are some magazines and some places that do take submissions for personal essays, and if you know how to craft a good essay and you've got an interesting story, or you know how to write good blog content or something like that, you can always go into freelance writing. I know that I'm working on some guest blog posts for some places, and I also am publishing my first personal essay on a national website coming up soon. I was really daunted by the idea of like getting into freelance writing, but if you like Google it and like just spend like an hour researching it, it's actually like pretty simple most of the time. Usually you just pitch a piece by like emailing someone, and then they either say yes or they say no. Not as high stakes as I thought it was, and not as like intimidating as I thought it was. You do generally need to build up a portfolio, but there are options for like beginner freelance writers if that's something you're looking into. Tutoring is really great. If you are really good in a subject, you can make really decent money as a tutor. They have all kinds of online tutoring options. They have like options where you can like sign up and teach kids in China English. So there's all kinds of tutoring options and services online that you can sign up to be a part of. Or you can just like approach a local tutoring agency and just say, hey, I'm willing to tutor. Or if like a friend has a kid that's struggling in the subject that you're good in, you can just set your own rate. But tutoring is a really great way to make a lot of money. Fiverr is a great way to monetize some gig skills that you might have. So if you've got any kind of tech skills like podcast editing or building websites or doing graphic design. Fiverr is a great place to yourself up on to get some side hustle income. If you live in the Great White North or anywhere near it, you can always shovel snow, especially after a big snow dump. People are always looking for someone to shovel their walk. I have gone around my block and just knocked on people's doors and been like, hey, do you want me to shovel your sidewalk for like 10 or 15 bucks? And they'll either say yes or no. It does take like being extroverted, but at the same time, a good way to earn quick money, especially if there's been a recent snowfall. The last is to house sit. So you can offer to house sit. Usually it'll have to be for someone you know, like most people wouldn't just randomly let a stranger house sit for them. It would be like through Rover or something, like checking in on the pet. But you can house sit. I have house sat for friends in the past and offered to do it. Especially like if you're someone that works from home and you don't have a pet at home, you can just like go hang out in their house and like do your work and stuff like that and make sure that everything's okay. And then that's a good way to make some money as well. So I hope that these suggestions were helpful. These are all things that I have done when I have needed some extra money. If you have any suggestions on how you've come up with extra money, I would love to hear them, and I'm sure my followers would as well. So feel free to comment down below. That would be really helpful. Also, if you found any of these tips helpful or you're gonna try something, let me know which one you're gonna try. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I do what I like to call real lifestyle, which is basically me not being filtered on social media. I don't like the highlight reel of social media. I try to do things in an authentic way that's not, you know, me deep cleaning my house when it's sparkling, things like that. Some of my favorite influencers are people that are really real and raw and authentic, and so that's what I'm striving to be. You can also follow me over on Instagram. My name is Angie Gabbs. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye!